Ohio Farm Bureau Federation held their annual Ag Day at the Capitol event this week in Columbus. The summit connects Ohio Farm Bureau members with legislators and government officials from the Buckeye State to build relationships and discuss issues facing agriculture. We talked with Jack Irvin, Director of State and National Policy with Ohio Farm Bureau.
It's exciting just to get the grassroots together, get all the farmers together from across the state, and just show truly the power of Farm Bureau. We're a grassroots organization. Our voice comes from the local level, and for our legislators to see that impact, we have hundreds of farmers here today walking all over the Capitol, and that visuals is awesome to see and exciting to be a part of.
Also, of course, Ohio Farm Bureau President Frank Burkett was there highlighting key issues facing Ohio agriculture.
Several key issues as we look at them. I highlight a couple: water quality, the fact that Farm Bureau members want to lead the discussion, and they want to lead an all-inclusive discussion. They want everyone at the table to continue the dialogue on what we can do to make sure that we're meeting the water quality needs across the state, in our communities, and in the areas that farmers are living and working. Secondly, as we look at state budget, and when we talk about revenue and the challenges as we look to organizations like the Ohio State University Extension, soil and water conservation districts across the state of Ohio, a lot of ties that go back to that priority issue I just mentioned, water quality, and the importance for funding in those areas. Roads and bridges, infrastructure, several priority issues as we look to the next administration and what can happen really to place Ohio in a strong competitive situation in the future as we move forward.
The attendees also heard from Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, who accompanied Adam Sharp, the Executive Vice President of Ohio Farm Bureau, in a fireside chat.
Speaking of regulation, of course, water quality is a big deal in our state. It's a priority for this organization as it is for all of our agricultural partners. We recognize our challenges. We also see our challenges as opportunities for water quality. We spend a lot of time and a lot of dollars making sure that we're spending our time and dollars on fixes for this, for the issue, how we're going to address the issue. A lot of good things have happened, both on the voluntary side and also on the mandatory side. There are a series of new regulations out there as well. Can you talk to us a little about your approach to water quality as you're coming into office?
Well, certainly very much on our mind as we took office, and as I selected the members of the cabinet, particularly the EPA, Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And by the way, Mary Mertz, would you like to raise your hand? Mary Mertz, who heads up our Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Dorothy heading up the Ag as well. Those three departments particularly, have a lot to do with water quality. So I think first you have to say we're doing a lot of things right. We've got a great system in place, 88 counties, but we do have obviously still some challenges. And you're going to find that our way of operating, whether it's on this issue or any other issue, is to try to pull people together. Bringing in the agriculture community as part of the solution. They need to be there at the table as we begin. So these discussions are taking place. Our three members of the cabinet are meeting every week specifically in regard to Lake Erie. Last week I announced that I had hired Joy Mullinex, who some of you may know from my time in the United States Senate, who worked on Great Lakes issues, worked on quality, water quality issues. So she is going to really kind of be the point person on this. And frankly, when we present our budget, it's kind of interesting. When you get elected governor, you celebrate for a day or a night at least, and then you wake up the next morning and say, oh, I've got 25 members of the cabinet I've got to put in. We've got to pick those, and I've got to do that in about 60 days. Then, of course, once you take office, you have to present a budget by March 15th. And so things are really front loaded. But when we present our budget, this will be, a lot of focus will be on water quality. We're going to have a focus obviously on Lake Erie. And we've got to be able, frankly, and I've talked with a number of members of the legislature. I know Senate President Larry Obhoff has talked a lot about Lake Erie, quality of water throughout the state. as have other members of the General Assembly that I see here. So it's going to be a priority, but we also have to be willing to put money behind it. And we can't expect farmers to carry the whole burden. So it's going to take money. It's going to take real money. And we're going to have to make that commitment over a long period of time. So we're still working out the numbers, but when you see our budget, you'll see a real commitment to the Great Lakes, to water quality. But sometimes we focus on Lake Erie. That's important. It's also the Ohio River. It's also water quality throughout the state. And so we try to look at this from a holistic point of view. But it's going to cost money. It's not going to be done cheaply. And our budget will reflect that.
Also at the event was the Department of Agriculture's Director, Dorothy Pelanda. Both the governor and the director's comments will be posted at length at a later date on OhioAgNet.com. Reporting for the Ohio AgNet, I'm Colt Buckenroth.